Hi, I'm Keiko at Wisteria Suri Ranch, and today I am going to show you how to needle felt a flower fairy. So they have a little flower on the top of their heads, like a little hat. Okay, so this will be a step-by-step tutorial, and I will cover the materials and give you exact steps that I make to create these dolls. So first, I do have the patterns size guide. Let me show you. On Etsy, a lot like my other fairy and angel tutorials. Not sure you can see that. Okay, these are very, very handy. It gives you exact weight and measurements, and then it's just so much easier to just kind of put it against the size guide so that you can sort of just visually see it. But I'll be giving you all the weights and sizes as we go, so if you don't have one of those, that's totally okay. And also with the tutorial, you'll get a full and complete material list that you can print out. This is my printed version. I have both a larger picture online version, so you can get a closer look at the picture, and then a slightly more economical way to print these out, since I think this one has 90 pictures or 100 pictures, but it's like 90 steps. So this has it uses a little less ink and less paper, but it does have the step-by-step with each of the pictures of the step. But I will be going over all of that with you on the video today. So I think we can get started. Let me just cover the materials. So I have other tutorials like I mentioned, and I wanted to do it a little differently for this one. So what I did was I actually used the least expensive material. So it's using the core batt that I use a lot in my projects. So it's not like the fancier merino or really anything else. It does have a little more loft and sort of a fluff. So I think this is only about 0.35 ounce or 10 grams here. But you can see like it looks like a lot, like compared to other fibers. So like if you had like this much of Suri alpaca fiber, it would look a lot smaller in amount visually. It has a lot of air. So I use this core wool, and I actually have a free video tutorial on how to dye your core wool batt with Kool-Aid. So these are the sugar-free packets. It's like 25 cents in 2023. I don't know. Actually, I haven't gone shopping lately, so it could be a little bit more, but it's really an inexpensive little Kool-Aid. It's supposedly a drink packet, but I use it to dye wool. And this is the same wool, and I have 0.45 ounces in two slightly different shades. Now you can use any color. It can be blue and yellow, whatever you want. Sometimes you can just use the one packet or one color and then just use less water and make it a darker shade and get kind of like a shaded wool batt and use that as well. I cannot remember if these were two different shades of blue in the packet that I purchased, or it was just like different ratios with water. So that, and then with the same wool, I'm using a little bit of green for the leaves and the little bit of yellow for the center of the flowers, like here and here. So that is it for the wool batt. So now you can see how like you can have unlimited colors and combinations, and total like it's about less than an ounce. So if you had 1 ounce of wool batt, which I think they're about like maybe $3.75 to $4 per ounce right now. Again, I don't know. It depends on where you are, and with shipping and everything, it can be a little bit more. But compared to a lot of other fibers, this is one of the one of the cheapest. And so you can do a lot, and you can just buy the white basic core wool and then just dye it in different colors. So there's that. Okay, and then I'm using Suri alpaca locks just because I have alpacas, but if for the hair. But if you don't, you can just use roving or any wool really, and we could just tease it and braid it into look like hair. And for this, you only need about 0.07 ounces or 2 grams, so it's just a little bit. Okay, And then for the face covering and the arms, I like to use a Suri roving, which is beige and soft and smooth. But again, you can use the same wool batt or any other fiber you like. And let's see. You'll need some pipe cleaners, so you really need 3 total, and we're going to use 2 for the body sort of structure in its full length. And in the US, these are sold standard about 12 inches or 30 centimeters, so just for rough reference. And then the arms for this project, you're not going to need the whole thing, so you can just cut it or find a scrap from another project, and it is 4.5 inches or 12 centimeters. And if you don't have a ruler but you have my size guide, it'll just give you everything here. And like right here is the core body. Okay, did I cover everything? Oh, whoops. And you will need foam, felting foam, so that you don't break your needle, and some felting, needle felting needles. These are barbed and specialized needles. You'll probably want to get a 38 all-purpose gauge one. You can also get, I think this is a 40 gauge for the hair. Since I'm using Suri alpaca, it's a little finer. I like to use a 40 gauge. If you're not experienced, you should still be able to do this project because I'm going to walk you through step by step. But one thing for this project that you're going to have to be extra careful, and I'll go through this as I do it, is that you want to hold your needle very light and poke carefully and gently without force, because this one's going to have a little bit more of the pipe cleaner wire as the structure, and if you force it, you'll break it against the wire. Now, I rarely ever, I mean, I can remember like maybe one needle I broke very long time ago. They don't break a whole lot unless you either have a defective needle or you're forcing it. So you should be okay, but just in case, have extra needles on hand, okay? All right. I think I have everything ready to go. So I am going to start with a close-up for you, and that way you can see my hands and see what I am doing. Oh, and just a quick note, there's a setting on your YouTube video part where you can make this go like 1.25 or 1.5 or 1.75 or maybe even 2 times speed, so that if you really just want to get the visual of the process, you can definitely do that, and it's a lot easier to you know, get through the video if it's a little too long. Or you can just grab tea and all your materials and just have some fun making your felted fairies, flower fairies with me. Okay, so I'm back with our first step. So the first step is going to be making our arms and wrapping our arms. So we're going to just get, let me get a little longer one. We're going to get a little bit of the Suri alpaca roving or any roving that you like, and we're going to wrap. So you've seen me maybe in other videos, so the key is to keep rolling it flat. So I'm going to just show you. I like to start from the center. Okay, and then let's see, can I show you well? So I'm rolling this like this, and I'm making sure I'm not twisting in this direction so it goes on flat. So there, oh, this way, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to do it in a slightly exaggerated way so it kind of looks like this. You see how this roving stays, and I'm rolling like that, okay? So let me pull it a little bit so it doesn't get super thick. Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep doing the same thing all the way to the very end right here. Try to get that real good. And then at the end, oh, I got a little hay piece here. Let me remove that because that's going to get in the way. Okay, and then at the very end, just to secure it in place, I'm going to fold the wire over where I wrapped, like this. And then I'm going to wrap it right over it. So I'm going to have to smooth this out a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to, Okay, I should have paid attention. There's a little vegetative matter. Okay. All right. So you see how I folded it and then I'm wrapping again back towards center like this. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight to the other side. Keep going, keep going. Okay. And I'm at the end, so I'm going to make sure I get the end pretty nice. And then I'm going to fold it over nice and tight. And then make sure it's smooth. And then I will continue to wrap. Okay. And then I'm going to go straight back to center. And if there's an uneven spot, like for some reason, this is a little thinner, so I'm just going to wrap towards there and try to even it out just a little bit. So there it is. Okay. And then I'm always going to bring it back to the center because it's going to be covered. So we'll go like that. And then the center can be a little extra thick. It doesn't really matter since it will not be seen. So I'm just wrapping it to secure it nicely. Another piece of hay today. Lots of hay. Okay. And then depending on your fiber, it might stay and you may not need to poke, but you can also poke to secure. There we go. All right. So let me move that over. Okay, so the next one is going to be the body wire. Making sure. And you've got two standard pipe cleaners, about 12 inches, 30 centimeters. And what we're going to do with this is first we're going to fold it in half like this. Okay, so both are going to be folded in half like this. Okay, and then about an inch or 2 centimeters here from this top, we're going to bend it. So right now just keep it kind of loose like this because we're going to hook this over the head when we create the structure. So got that. We're going to do the same for the other one. And if you have the size guide, you can just put it against it. There we go. I'm going to hold it here. Just going to bend it there. Okay. So I've got, this one just looks a little nicer, but got two of these. Okay. And one of these. All right, so we're getting all set up. The next step we need to do is we're going to make the head right here. So you're going to want to get 0.11 ounce or 3 grams of wool. Okay, so I didn't pre-measure these out. Probably should have. And if you're working with the batt like this, it actually makes it easier if you can just kind of, for the head part, if you can just kind of take it into a strip, because we're going to tie it. I think I'm going to use this one here. Okay. So I've got a little strip. It makes it a little easier. If not, you can just make it into a little bit of a strip by kind of teasing it with your hands. Okay. And then we are going to tie this into a knot for the head. So actually, okay, so here, so it's just a regular knot like this. Okay, like that. Okay. And then as you're doing it, you're gonna kind of look for like the nice surface. So I think that one's a good side. We're gonna be able to felt it, so just kind of, and then it's gonna be covered. So, all right, but you see kind of how this looks like a good little surface versus back here that might be a little harder to work with. All right, so we got this. And then from here, we're just going to bend it over like that. So we have a little face. Okay. And then this fiber is a little harder to do, but you can just pull a little piece from here, like maybe like that. Sort of stretch it out as much as you can. And you're going to use this like a string. So you're going to hold it in front like this, right here. Don't pull too hard because it'll just fall apart. It's still loose wool. Okay, and then you're going to wrap this gently around like this. There we go. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and then we are going to put the little head down and secure with your needle. Okay. How are you doing so far? Okay. So that's what we got so far. Okay. So at this point, you can sort of shape the head into a little ball. And then if it's not quite the right size, then you can always add a little more wool. So it's about, let's see, 3 centimeters or 1.25 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches on the front. So for instance, let's see. So like this way, 1.25. So this one's a little too small. So I would add a little, I would add a little bit more. So you can again, like not every fiber is exactly the same. So sometimes like when you weigh it, it's still not always the same. So I would just kind of go by feel. And if it's not quite enough, just add and eyeball it. Okay, so I got a little strip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around the head like that. Ooh, that looks so much nicer. Okay. And then I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to poke. Okay. So if you're wondering like, okay, how hard does this need to be? Or how soft can it stay? It really depends. Some people really like to felt it tightly and other people like to, you can't quite tell where my center is. How tightly really depends. Some people, you know, just have different preferences. I just like to make sure that everything is structurally sound. So to me, that means like, it's not like super easy to squish, but it's also not super hard. I kind of like to give it a little bit of a softer feel, so generally a lot of my things aren't as tightly felted as some, but it's all preference, so I think it's okay. All right, so even in this little bit, you can see how much improvement there is on the sort of the look and size of the head, and then now I'm going to put it against the size guide, and so the size guide is measured properly, so it's kind of like that, and I like it. All right, so now we are going to add the arms. So where's my arm? Here's my arm. So remember we kind of folded it over, so there should be a little area that you can sort of split open like that. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay. And then you want to just put it under like this. And then you're going to hold it here. Kind of pinch it like we did with the head. So the arms will still move, so you can just sort of get it about as even as you can, but it'll still move a little bit, so don't worry too much if it's not quite even. And I'm not going to pull from here. I'm just going to get a little piece from my other bit, and then I'm going to wrap around the waist, so you can put it here and then just sort of wrap the wool around the waist. Actually, it's not the waist, is it? It's under the arm. Under the arm, see, like that, just a couple times to keep it secure. Okay, And then here I'm going to again poke it in place. Here we go. Okay. So far we have the head and the arms. And then at this point you might want to see if you can make it as even as possible. Okay. All right, so the next step, let me just make sure I'm following my step-by-step instructions. So if you have that, you're not gonna be like confused. Like, wait, you skipped. Okay, so now we're gonna take these body structures and we're gonna put this over her head. So, let's see. Gonna put it over her head like this. So basically one comes in the front like this, almost creating a V in the front like that. And then it'll go in the back like this. Okay. And actually, you know what? We can go ahead and cross it now. In the tutorial, I actually cross it later, but right now, since it's flying around, we can just cross it to secure it like that, to hold it in place like this. Okay. Okay, and then the other side, now, okay, so we put the first one in the front, so the second one's going to go in the back. So, whoops. So it's going over her head. Did I do that right? Okay, going over her shoulders. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we got the new V here. Okay, and then this is the loose front, like this. Right? Okay. And then again, we're going to cross it right around the same location here. Probably twist it once, like this. Okay, and now here's where you're going to want to just make sure it's nice and down and even as much as possible. And then this part is just going to stay here for right now. Okay, so this is going to create the nice little structure. Let me see, fix this for a minute. Hang on. Okay, I'm making it as even as possible. Okay, in the back too, so hang on. Fussy, fussy, fussy. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you. So you got the arms here, you got the front hooked on, and then twisted in the back, and then you got the back hooked on, and then twisted in the front. So you should have like 4 pieces coming out like this. Okay, so I must have done it a little bit unevenly here. This one's a little short. So at this point, this is more for structure, so you can just even it out and cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Okay. All right. Okay, so if you're ready for the next step, we're going to create the wool skirt cone underneath here to give it structure. So, oh, okay, so let me just show you. So even already, she should be standing balanced okay. All right, so the next one, I'm making a little cone, and I know I put the weight there, so give me a moment. Let's go to the next page. Okay, so it's going to be 0.07 ounces or 2 grams, and the cone is going to be made like this. So let's just assume this is about the right amount, and then you're going to want to sort of make it into a cone. So, okay. All right, so I'm rolling like that. That's going to look like a cone. And then I'm going to felt it in place. Okay. So no one's going to see this, so as long as you've got it mostly in the right shape, you're good. And don't worry too much about the bottom here, because all of this is going to be poked in with additional layers. So I'm just not going to worry about the bottom. You can, of course, you know, if it bothers you, you can put it like this and tuck it in a little more, but it's not really necessary, okay? And then the top I'm also not doing much with. And then you can kind of check against the size guide. That looks about right. So it's about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters tall. Oops, sorry, here. And then the base is about 2 inches or 4.5 centimeters wide. It's not the circumference. I didn't quite do that much. So it's just kind of like if you eyeball it from the front, it's about 2 inches, 4.5 centimeters. This will kind of determine how big your skirt and the dress and the doll will be. So when you use this weight and amount, your doll will come out to about this size. I forgot to tell you the size she is. Let me go back for a moment. How tall is my little flower fairy? Okay, well maybe I did. I don't know. The finished height, she's about 7 inches. 18 centimeters, and her total weight is 0.85 to 0.95 ounces, which is about 25 to 27 grams. So if you want to make her that height and weight, then this is the skirt is about what I just said, okay? If not, just make it bigger or smaller, however you want. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to slip this under here in between the wire and hold it like this. Okay? It should fit nicely. Okay, so from here, did I do everything? I think I did. Okay. From here, you're going to start covering her core with the core wool batt. So I've got the batt here, and I'm first going to start by securing her center area here so that I'm able to get her body and her skirt kind of attached. So I'm going to wrap right at her waistline here. Okay. And this also helps to wrap flat. Okay. Like that. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more while I'm at it. Okay, so I got this. So she's secure. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we're going to be doing the rest here, but I'm doing this so that I can make sure that her skirt cone's going to stay. All right, so here you want to hold very carefully, and you want to poke obviously between the pipe cleaners, but every once in a while we will poke at or into it. So the key is to hold it as lightly as possible. So if you hit a resistance, here we are. So I just hit a resistance, see right there? So if you keep forcing it, you might break your bone. Hope not. You'll break your needle. If you just release it and don't force it, it should be okay. And I would highly recommend you use a 38 gauge, which is an all-purpose needle, which is going to be a little thicker than like a fine 40 gauge or 42, or even a 36 gauge, which is going to be a thicker needle, thicker gauge needle, so it won't break as easily. And 36 is for more core wool, so it's going to create larger holes, and depending on your fiber, it will work, or it may be a little harder to use. So you'll have to play with that, but just some extra tips in case you have any issues, okay? All right, so this is what I have so far. Okay, and I definitely want this skirt cone poking out because I'm gonna have it longer. I think it's, yeah, I'll just show you this picture. Okay, so you see the skirt cone right here, and then you see how we're going to be building all around it. Okay, so right now we're working on so we got the pipe cleaner here, the skirt cone, and we're working on this area within the dotted line. That's going to be the core wool batt, and then we're going to put the colored wool batt around it. And that's kind of how I like to use my size guide. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap going down further, like this. And again, this is also something that's not going to be seen because we're going to cover it. Okay. And I like to just, you can just use your hands and tease it however you want the fiber to align for you. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so so the goal with this layer is to cover the wires, okay? So I'm covering all the way to the bottom. And you don't have to go super deep. Just go super light so that you don't break your needle. And sort of have a visual of where your wires are, because they are going in for sort of different directions, right? Into a skirt shape. So like right in between here, there's no wire. Okay, and then I'm probably getting closer to a wire. So if you know you're right on the wire, you can just skip right over that area and then go to the next area with more just pure wool. Okay, so I haven't hit wire yet. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to tidy up just a little bit here, but we're going to be adding more to the base, so I don't want to... Okay, let me explain that better. I like to keep this loose because when it's still loose, it's easier to attach it to the next layer. So that's one of the reasons why, like on the internal layers, you'll see me not felting it super tight. And part of that is so that when I'm attaching the next layer, it'll all be felting together and it'll just kind of be easier for the fibers to connect, if that kind of makes sense. It tangles better with the other layers. Okay. I think that made a little more sense, hopefully. Okay. How are we doing? Okay, so good. All right, so we got all of this so far, and it really doesn't matter what order you do it. Now we have to make sure we cover this, and I'm just going to take my little bit. Wow, I think I'm going to be using almost exactly 0.35 ounces because this is all I've got left for the pre-measured for the whole amount. Okay, so let's see. So it really doesn't matter how you cover this, but I'm just going to cover it over like this and then back around. And then I think I'm just going to go, let's see, I'm going to stop here in the front and pull it off and then just cover her shoulder here again like this. Okay, I'm going to do my first poking, but I'm going to need to do one more layer. Okay. Okay, so this area has a lot of wires, so just be very gentle. And again, right now our goal is to hide the wire without breaking all of our needles. There we go. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and do one more because right here you can sort of see the wire. So I'm gonna just go from front here, cover, and then I think I'm gonna go around the back. So I'm just covering the back here and the neck, and then I'm gonna come back through the front again. So really similar to what I just did. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull it down. All right, so that's what I have. And then okay, there we go. Okay. So for this flower fairy, I wanted it to give it kind of like a youthful, playful, innocent look to it. So that's kind of why it's not, it's kind of shaped in a more of a flatter, like this area is a little flat and this area, like, you know, there's not like a big waist area. So that was kind of part of the design, but you can do whatever you want. So, okay. It's getting hot in here now. Okay, how are we doing? Okay, so that covers the core, which is great. I think we can actually move on to doing the skirt. Let me just, oh no, let's get that face on. Okay, so, I'm gonna use that again. Okay, so we want to get the pretty face roving. Now, this wool is actually nice enough that you could just leave it like this. It's a really pretty color and looks fine to me too. But since I have these beautiful shiny Suri alpaca roving in beige, I am going to create a little shiny face. Sparkly fairy face. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm just creating a little kind of like a roving. What am I saying? Roving that's just pulled apart like this, and then I actually like to pre-felt it like between my palms. Okay, let's see, rub, rub, rub. Okay, so I'm just doing a real gentle, and not all fiber behaves like this. So if it's not working for you, it's not you. It's probably something with the fiber. Not every fiber behaves like this, but Suri alpaca fiber actually can felt it, hand felt it like this, to make it easier to put on the doll face. You see how small they got in such a short period of time? So cool, right? Ah, so nice. Okay. All right, so then I have this cute little pre-felt, and then I'm going to put it right over her face like this. Yeah. And then I'm going to do the edges, because I don't want big holes on her face, and the fiber is, you know, pretty nicely felted already. The roving, Suri alpaca roving. So I'm just doing the edges around. And you don't have to cover the whole entire head. I'll just show you in just a minute once I get this going here. Okay. I'm just kind of tightening her head up a little bit, okay? All right. So, okay, it's a little fluffy, but let me just show you. Okay, so that's not covered because we're gonna put hair back here. And so, I mean, you can cover it, but you don't have to. So, all right. So I now have a finer needle, and then I'm going to poke it a little bit because this is sort of floating on her face, and I want it a little tighter than a float. So here's a little bit of a hole. I might still need like an even finer gauge needle, but it's okay. We'll go with that for now. All right. So that's what I have so far. Okay. Okay, so now let's get the dress color dyed wool. And I've got this. So these wool bats, just for reference, these are wool fiber. This one's sheep that is washed, obviously washed, dried, and then carded on a drum carder. So that means it gets aligned with these. There's a special equipment. And there's a home version, so you can look it up and see how they do it. But basically, like if you had fiber wool like this, now this is Suri alpaca and this is Suri lock, so you wouldn't do it with this. But let's just say you've got something like this, and right now it's looking aligned, but if it came in a big old wad. They'd wash it, they pull it apart. There's a wool picker, it pulls apart the wool, and then they put it on a drum cutter. It's almost like a slicker brush, actually. It kind of looks like that, except it's on a drum. And then they align the fiber, and then the batts come off like in bigger sheets. So this is just a little piece of it. And then for roving, which is like in this kind of form that people use for spinning, then I think it takes it to another process where they just pull this into strips. Okay, the reason why I'm saying this is because wool bats usually come off in like layers and sheets. So for this project, it's actually easier to use if you pulled it off. Like you'll see, like, okay, so you got a big piece here, right? And I'm taking off like a little sheet of it, see? You see how I can split it? Okay. So, okay, so this is just going to be an easier piece to work with so you don't get these big ol' too much all at once. Okay, and then, let me see, can it be, all right, I'm seeing another layer here. Well, sometimes it, oh, no, that's going to go. Okay, so you see how that splits? Okay, it's just the way they're processed. Cool, super cool. All right, yay, okay. All right, so now, let's see, do I want to do the skirt first? So you can apply this in smaller chunks or however you want to do it. Let's see. Let me get it about the right. Let me see. Can I do it? Okay. So I'm taking a whole sheet. You don't have to do it this way, but I'm just going to take a whole sheet, and then I could just split the arm area. So I'm just poking a hole. Okay. Let's see. Poke a hole. Just putting her arm in. Let's see. Where's her hole? Other hand. I'm just going to poke her hole. Poke a hole for her hand. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of cover. Okay. And since I don't want certain areas to get like too super thick, I'm just gonna pull that off and add it in later. Okay, and okay, so it's fine if the back side is extra full for this time. And I just need to add it in the front. So I'm gonna go like this, like this. Okay. Okay, so it kind of looks messy right now, but I'm going to go ahead and sort of poke the back in place first. Okay. Okay, and then for the neck area, okay, can you see? Yep. Sorry. I'm going to like tuck. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, I'm just gonna like tuck it in like this. You see how it kind of goes nicely? Okay, and any part that looks a little too much, I'm just gonna pull off so don't get too much in one area. Okay, so let me pull off a little bit in this back area. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this, and again, this is just the first layer, so just a quicker way to get a lot on real quick. Okay, so from here, I'm just gonna kind of poke it in. So I'm getting the neck first, and then the shoulder. Okay, neck and shoulder. Okay, that looks like there's a lot there. Let's see. Yep. So I'm gonna pull still even more off of here. Got a little much there. Okay, and then poking up. That's much better. Okay. So I'm working on her backside right now. Just kind of getting the top area. Okay. And then underarm, I'm just gonna poke it in like that. Underarm on this side. Oopsie. Poking it in. Okay. Alright, and then, so here we have her so far. Alright, so now I'm just going to poke in and clean up. Okay. Here we are, here we are. So this layer is the one you're going to want to do a pretty thorough job on and get the colors. This is going to be your outside color of your dress. So the first layer you put on like this, and then you would add more. Just let me see if I can just get this quickly so I could show you. Okay, so it's not quite perfect, but I'm just going to show you. So here you see like a bald spot here, so I'm going to be adding more here, and I'm going to tighten all of this. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the base. Let me just put her down. So the bottom, to stabilize her, we're going to create a little wool base. I'm going to use the darker color since I want to make her skirt kind of look, okay, so that, and then I'm going to add a little bit here so I can give it a nice little color. So I'm going to just take a little bit of the blue, and then I'm going to create a little circular shape for the base. And this will be, ooh, I don't have the exact weight, but it's about 2.5 inches or 7 centimeters across. So let me just do a quick circle. And once I do that, I'm gonna like turn the camera off and clean it up, and then I'll continue on so that you can, you don't have to watch me poke everything. Okay, so the color base here is a little big, but that works for her. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this. So all you have to do is kind of hold her upside down and then start poking. Watch your fingers. Okay. So I'm just putting in the base. Okay, like that. And I will be doing this a little bit more. Okay, so right now you see there's like a break here. So that's where, oh, but she's going to be standing pretty nicely. So that's where I'm going to take more of my blue. And so, okay, so this is a little bit of a mess. So what I'm doing is I'm going to kind of pull into almost like a roving, handmade roving, like this. Okay, let's see. And then I'm going to, okay, that's about right length. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this, and that's how I'm going to merge it together. I think that's a prettier part here. So you see, like that, and like this. Okay, so I'm just going to continue on. Actually, we're just going to, and this is all optional, but per the kind of like the decoration, I'm just doing a slightly darker blue for her underarm area. So I'm just wrapping it. Oh, actually, this part's more blue, so you can do whatever you want. Got this, and then here, like that. I'm just going to poke that in, and after that we're going to do her hair. So I have a little tool that a friend gave me a long time ago, and it's like two needles in one. So this is making it a little faster. There are a couple other tools that have like the, I think Clover has like a multiple needle tool. I generally don't use those. I generally use the Solo, but I do like this two kind. Okay. All right, so now I think we can do the hair. Okay, so that's what we got so far. Yay, and good time to check balance. So you want to make sure she balances, and she will be able to stand on her own. Now, when we put the wings on, it can kind of tilt her back, so we're going to have to watch for that. Sometimes you might need to add a little more weight somewhere else, depending, to balance her out. But usually it's not a problem. And just for reference, you can just use your size guide, and then you can kind of put her against it to see, you know, if you're pretty much done. Okay, so that's about the size that I intended. All right, so we got to do the hair, and then we'll do the wings. So let me move that over. And the hair. Where's the hair? Okay, so not sure. I don't think I've done the hair this way yet in my other tutorials. So this one's braided, but also the way I'm going to attach it is a little different. I was looking for kind of a faster, easier way, and this one felt fast and easy for me this time. Okay, so when you have locks, and if it's not like coming tightly bundled, now this one's already been sort of aligned. I pulled the tips and got it ready, but it's still not ready to use at this point because I need to untangle it a little bit. So anytime you're working with Suri fleece and you got locks, you look for the tip and the cut end, okay? And you'll always have a much higher level of success when you find the tip and then pull it, and then you got the cut end on this side, okay? And that's how I'm going to align it. So I'm going to do this quickly in case you're not familiar. So these are already relatively, I did pull these out of a big chunk of fleece. So, and then what I'm doing right now is I'm going to try to make two relatively equal piles for the right side and left side of her head. Okay, I probably won't use all of it. If I have a slightly shorter length, then I'm going to put it and match the tip end because I'm actually going to trim the cut end. So you can use everything. Let's see, are we getting similar? Let's see, I think that looks pretty good. I'm just eyeballing it. Oops, there we go. Okay, that looks about right. Okay. Nah, I'm gonna get a little bit more hair. Girl, a little extra hairy. Okay, since I got some here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then, since the tip side is aligned, and you can use really, these are kind of long. You don't need it this long. This makes a very long hair. It was just kind of what I found when I was working on this project. Okay, so then the cut side, you see how it's uneven? You can see that. I'm going to trim it. Keep this fluff. We're going to actually use this. Okay, so I've got one relatively aligned and cut one, and then I'm going to do the same to the other one, but I'm going to try to match it. It's about here. Okay, I'm going to keep all this fluff. All right, so then I am going to take this, I'm going to line it up. So I'm lining up the cut end like this. I'm actually going to go diagonal so that it doesn't fall off. Okay, I'm lining it up. This is how I'm going to put it in her head. This is going to be her top line. So I'm just making it so I don't have to put each one in at a time. So I'm stretching it out a little bit, spreading it out. Okay, and then to get this to put together and then not to show funny when I work on it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cut pieces that I did. I'm going to probably need a little bit more. Okay, cut pieces like this. I'm going to fluff this up. So it's all the same color, same texture, same everything. Okay, I'm going to place it like this, kind of like top line. And then I'm going to sort of felt these all together. Okay, can you see that? I think so. So I think you can see what I'm doing here. So this way I can just kind of put in the right side and the left side of her hair all in one shot without having to put each fiber in. And since we're gonna braid it, it's a little, this worked really well. Okay. All right, so when you pull this off, be very careful, hold it nicely, gently, 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 gently. And there we go. There's a piece that's not in there. Okay, hang on. So that should do it. All right, so I got one side. We're gonna do the same. Whoopsie. Oh, okay. And then just try to get it about the same width. Is that right? Width, length. Okay. And then I'm going to fluff it up again. Like that. Yep. And then put it at the edge. And then poke. So this is Suri fiber, so I think this is a 40 gauge. You'll need a slightly finer gauge needle to make it stick together or felt together. All right. This one's not very happy. Hold on. Okay, so then I'm looking at both, making little adjustments on the fly. Here we go. One side usually looks better, but that's okay. I've got a little extra locks, so if I need to fill any spots. Okay. Whoops. Pull, 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 gently, gently, gently. And sometimes you, yeah, that's good. Okay. All right, so you've got, or I've got, 2 of these. So you can do this with roving as well. Okay. Alrighty, so now, how am I gonna do this? Okay, we are, okay, so with this, I'm gonna have to do this reverse. So, oh, there we go. So what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna put it on like this. I'm gonna poke it in here, and then it's gonna go over like this so we don't see the seams, and then we're gonna place it one more time that way. Okay, so. All right, so I'm gonna try to get it as center as possible. Okay, so I'm doing this a little bit backwards. I'm not 100% sure how this will go. Okay, so all I'm doing is poking, poking, poking the center line. Poke, 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 poke. I'm also gonna go ahead and make sure this is secured in. Okay. And again, usually you'll need a finer gauge depending on the fiber you're using. Okay. So, let's see. Can you see? It doesn't look super pretty right now. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a quick little tug, make sure it's in. All right, now I'm going to flip it over like that. Okay. And then since it's going to be braided in the front like this, I'm pulling it, sorry, I'm like twisting it all over the place. Okay, so here we go. It went over, so we covered the seam. I'm gonna pull the hair forward, and I'm just gonna give you a quick view of what it looks like this way. Then I'm gonna turn her around so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, so that was a pretty good length. I was able to get it pretty darn far to where it needs to go. Okay, so then from here, I am going to carefully poke over where I folded over. Okay, so poking it over and folding it in nice in center. Okay, I'm gonna have to put our pretty little face down here. I'm gonna hold it. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can, okay, so I'm angling it a little bit, which, okay, so see how we're kind of cleaning up the seam, so although it looked a little messy earlier, it doesn't look nearly as bad. Okay, And then I'm going to poke, poke, poke. Okay, and then you'll have to play with her hair just a little bit, and just remember there's always a little extra you can add, as well as so with hair you can actually gently tease it around. So if I have a like right here, bald spot, I just kind of go like this and then poke it, and then I use this side, poke it, and kind of go doing that. And we also have the flower hat. So you're good. We'll make sure we don't have any bald spots. Everything's clear, covered, looking good. And we'll fix her bangs in a minute too, after both sides on, okay? Okay. So for now, I'm going to just leave it loose like this because I'm gonna braid her hair, okay? So let's get the other side on. So I'm always getting this backwards. So we want to go like this now. So we're basically putting it on top. Okay, yep. Putting it on top, kind of slightly, yeah. Okay, and then we're going to poke it in, okay? Did I go off screen there? Okay, hold on. That's okay. Okay, so I'm just poking in the part where that, you know, all the cut edges and where we put all the locks together. Losing my words today. Okay, so poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. Okay. Yeah, looking good. All right, so that is kind of how it looks right now. You're like, oh my goodness. Looks like a little monster. Hairy monster. Okay, and then we're going to, where is her hair? Okay, we're going to flip. Oh my. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. I think I might have put it on a little lower. All right, so, okay, so I think I went a little too low and I have a lot more on the bottom. So I could take it off and do it, or I'm just gonna tug. So I'm just gonna cheat. I'm gonna tug up a little bit, and then I'm going to, okay, hang on. I tugged it up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and just poke the tugged up area a little bit so it stays there, so it doesn't fall back. And then I'm going to just pull this forward a little bit to cover. So there we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the fiber again, bring it to the side and front like this. Oh my goodness, sorry, went off screen again. All right, like that. Okay, so it again doesn't look quite right yet, but I will show you how it will all come together. All right, so now I'm going to poke. We're going to do the same thing. So see, we have a really nice, oh my gosh, did I forget the light? Ah! Sorry. Now we got a little more light. It's like it's so dark. Okay, so I'm poking back the center. Oh, I hope we can see that. Okay. Okay, so now it's still fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it towards the front again. And I'm going to put her on her side. Okay, and then I'm going to tease her hair a little bit, make sure it covers all the spots, and then I'm going to poke. Sorry. Okay, so I'm poking, poking, poking. Okay, so it's mostly covered. Uh-oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Oh, good. She looks pretty cute. All right, so now that we have both sides in like this, then we are going to braid her hair. So, her face kind of got a little loose, so the face beige roving. So I'm just tucking it in. Okay, so if you don't know how to braid, I think there's probably good YouTube videos out there. I'm just going to give you a few other ways you can do it. You can just hold it and twist like this. Okay, twist. That's an easy way. You can maybe loosen it up. Okay, and then hold it in place with the needle. And we'll probably want to put a little, like, just, I'm going to do this for the braid, but I'm just showing you different options just in case, okay? So you can just wrap it and then hold that, and then just, that looks really pretty too. Okay? That actually looks really pretty for her. Should I keep it like that? All right. So that's one option. I'm going to go ahead and braid it since that's how I have it in my tutorial. Okay, so, okay. So you'll want to get like a little piece of wool that you're going to be able to wrap around the bottom part, like kind of like a scrunchie, a wool scrunchie that you're going to make. Okay. All right. So then, hopefully you can see you're just going to split it into 3. Relatively even. Doesn't look even, but that's okay. That's not even at all. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna braid it. Okay, not feeling very good with my hands today. Okay, so I'm just gonna braid it, braid it, braid it. Okay, so it would help if she stayed in her place. Okay, here we go. All right, fluff, fluff. Okay, and then here, I'm going to wrap this little blue thing around. And, where's my needle? Oh, sorry, I pulled your hair. Okay. Okay, so that's secured. Oops. Okay, and then I'm gonna fix her hair one more time after I get both sides braided, okay? Okay, so now that I have her hair braided, I'm going to be just sort of fixing her hair up a little bit. So if you want a little more like loft, then you can always sort of gently tease it up like that and then move it. So if you want it a little bit more in the front, like that, you can sort of lift the fiber and move it over a little bit, okay? And then just cover any bald spots, and you can always just use more of your fiber. Okay, and however much you want to cover her face, so if you want more here, you can just, let me see. Yeah, so you can just sort of pull this towards her face to cover it, or if you want it more open, you can push it back like that and poke it in place. Okay, so it just takes a little bit of playing around and sort of poking. Just remember, if there's any area that you don't really like the hair, you can put the little flower on top of it and hide it. So it's totally going to work out. And it looks like she's kind of tilting her head, which is cute. So they all come into their own little creations. So it's really kind of cool. Yeah, I had one girl who has such a good hair day that she's like, I don't want a big old flower hat. So I had to get her. Here, I'll just show you. See, she has such a good hair day that I decided to do a little flower and a little butterfly on her shoulder. But it just depends. Some of them, just the hair doesn't quite cooperate. Okay, so I really like how she's coming along right now. And she's standing up. Okay, and always, you know, you can always move things around with your hands. Don't be scared to do that. Okay, all right. Let's get her wings. Let's make her fly. Okay, so here is the pattern, and let me give you the size. Actually, maybe you could just look at that real quick. If you're visual, I will read it out to you as well. Okay, so you can always pause it if you need to, or go back, okay? So it's 0.07 ounces or 2 grams per side, okay? And it comes out to the wing, I don't know if you call that a height, but wing height is going to be 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and then like sideways at the widest part is going to be about 3 inches and 7.5 centimeters. Okay? So all you have to do is get some wool and start making. So, and let's see, this one, so something like this, it just kind of depends on the fiber you're working with, but for this one, I'm probably going to just take a little bit of this light and just sort of shape it. So I'm folding it sort of like this. So I'm kind of trying to shape it like the top of the wing. Okay, and then like that. And so I'm going to place it like this. It's a little faster to felt. Okay, I'm going to pull that off. And then I think I'm going to make it a little darker on the bottom. You can use any color. So let's see, I need a little bit more of this. So, okay, again, I'm just going to shape it a little bit. Put it like that. Okay. Okay. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll just put it like that this time. Change it up a little bit. Something different. Okay. All right, so then I'm actually going to do this so it's a little faster. And then you're going to want to make 2 of these. So and you can add like little sparkle things, sparkle fiber, Angelina fiber, the fiber, or I think it's also called Fire Star. You can add that, or you can even sew on like anything you want, or glue. So many opportunities and potential. So, okay. So, let me see. That's kind of where it's at right now. And it doesn't have to be exact, so don't stress. Enjoy. Okay. Okay. So you don't have to go super deep. You probably heard me say this in many videos, but for the needle, the barb part is only like right, oops, sorry, I'm off the camera. There we go. Right here, so right here, it's just like this little bit, and that's the part that tangles the wool. So you don't have to go super deep, and that's also another way to save your needles from getting broken. Okay. All right, so here it is. Let me see how it looks. Oh, I like it. Okay, so you got this on one side, this on the other side. You can use whichever side appeals to you. And let me check the size. Okay, it looks a little big, but it's up to you. You can use it as is, or you can make it a little smaller. I am going to make 2 of these and be right back. Okay, so we are almost done. Now let me show you the fairy wings. So I made 2 fairy wings. Okay, and then move that over. We're going to attach it to the back of our fairy angel. Okay, so we just make sure, you can actually double check the position by holding it and looking, see if you like that. Well, okay, camera's not set quite right. Sorry. Okay, so and then you just poke it in one side at a time. So I'm just securing it almost to the back here, right here. About like this much, right here. Uh-oh, here you go, right here. You can see where it's a little bit flat. Okay, and then we got one side. Okay, and then we've got the other one. So let me hold it in place. Oops, that's not the right side. There we go. Is that the right side? Okay, so I'm gonna hold it. Check. Works. And then I'm gonna place her down. The camera looks like it got a little too close. Alright, but I think you can see. Alright, so you're going to poke, 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 poke in place. Make sure it's going to stay. Okay. So, good so far? Okay, and then make sure she stands with the wing weight, okay? So if she starts falling backwards, you're going to want to make adjustments, either just kind of adjusting her by your hand, adding a little more weight to the front, or just tilting the wing in a way that's going to help her stay. Okay, let me see if I can pause it for a second. Okay, sorry for that little short clip that got a little too close. Okay, so back to where I was. So we got the wings attached. So we were just attaching right here in the center, one side at a time, and you're just checking to make sure it worked. And then just make sure that she's able to stand and not fall over. Stable. Okay, so I already started the flower part. So the first one we're going to make is the one that's on the bottom of her skirt, and then we'll make her head flower. It's basically, oopsie, they're all falling over, the same. So let me show you. It's not a good place. Okay. For the petal, you can use a size guide, but just pull like 5 similar sized fiber pieces so that they're starting out roughly the same. And then you can just roll it like that, kind of with a little bit smaller point on the end. And then you can just sort of poke it and then make it a little circular on top. You're going to make 5 of those, like this, and then we're going to attach it to her skirt. So I'm just going to position it first. So we're going to go 1. I already made these, so you don't have to watch me do all 5, but you can just pause the recording. Okay, so I'm going to position it like that, and then see if I like it. I'm going to push it off to the side a little. So I'm going to put one here, and just, you can tap it in super lightly, and then that way you can pull it out and change it. So I'm just putting the center in super lightly and checking. Okay, I like the position, so now I'm going to make sure it's secured in there. Okay, and if you want it flat, you can flatten it. If you like it poking out like this, that works too. Roll a little piece of wool. I just used a little yellow one. I'm going to poke it in here, and then just poke in place. Okay, and then we're going to make 2 leaves. I already made 1. I'm going to take about the same amount. We're just going to kind of roll it again, really similar to the petal, only I want to make it a little longer, so I'm just going to pull it. And there is a pattern guide, but I just kind of, if you roll up a little bit of green and make one side a little pointy, it should look like a leaf. All right, here we go. So we got 2 of these, and we're going to position them. I'm gonna just position 1 on the bottom. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do maybe like that. Okay. And you can decorate these however you want. This is just one example. So here we go. And we're going to do the same process. I used a slightly larger petal, and I kind of gently put it together, but it's not super tight. It would probably fall apart if I pulled on it. I just kind of gently put it together, and then I'm going to position it on her head. So you're gonna have to play with it and see what position looks the cutest. Let's see. Let me work on that for a moment. Okay, I'm gonna put it off to the side, kind of like this. And then I'm gonna tap it in place really gently the first time to see if I like it, if I still like it. Okay, I feel pretty good. So then I'm going to secure it in tighter into her head. Okay, I see my battery on my camera. Looks like it's about to go. So I'm going to quickly finish up. Okay, and here we go. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.